Let's face reality, Gru. You've been at this for far too long, with far too little success. We're gonna put our faith, our money, into a
more profitable villain.
It's over. Goodbye, Gru.
I could make up an intro with an effective hook or something like I usually do, but in this instance, what's the point? Like, what else is there to say? It's like every month or two we're asking ourselves if Xbox is the worst publisher in gaming, and I still think that title belongs to Ubisoft, but Xbox is making some strides, I'm not gonna lie. What's the latest episode of Xbox is run by idiots? Well, Microsoft in total have another round of layoffs. How many? Well...
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000? There's no way that can be right!
Oh my god. You can't make this up! And a bunch of games have also been cancelled that have had their funding pulled. And it seems with this round of layoffs, if the Hi-Fi Rush debacle didn't already put them on this pedestal, it looks like for a lot of people, this move has cemented Xbox as a gaming villain.
Fuck Microsoft! Okay. Fuck!
Like, Microsoft is universally hated now by the gaming community, and Xbox is now seen as a place where creativity goes to die. Not only that, but they're becoming a villain at a time when Sony is fumbling around with live service disasters and Nintendo just pulled their good guy mask right off. It's like every platform has to be incompetent or scummy. Oh wait, I have Steam now. Now, even though I'm very late to this party, I've had the chance to see most people's opinions and more news from the fallout of this move, but with that, I've had time to form an opinion on what Xbox and Microsoft just did. And honestly, would it be crazy for me to suggest that I don't think the situation is black and white? In fact, I think it's entirely gray.
What the fuck are you talking about? Speak clearly.
I think two things can be true at once. One, most of these layoffs and cancellations needed to happen, and two, Xbox handled this terribly. But why exactly do I think that? Why am I of the feeling that this is more multi-layered than it appears to be? Well, hurry up before Phil walks in. So strap in, boys and girls, and let's get down to business. So in terms of the specifics, the key layoffs have hit places like King, ZeniMax Online, Raven Software, and Forza Motorsport developer Turn 10, with half of their workforce being gutted, and later it was reported that they would be integrated into the Forza Horizon team. And some reports show that some people at 343 have also been let go. Here's my thoughts on that matter.
Every day I wake up and I hope you're dead. Dead like if I can guarantee Henry would be okay. I'd hope you get an illness and then get hit by a car and die.
But the big moves, and what's got everybody up in arms, is the cancellation of the Perfect Dark reboot and complete closure of the studio, The Initiative, the cancellation of Rare's long-in-development Everwild, and the cancellation of an unannounced ZeniMax Online MMO. And there's also multiple reports that suggested that Xbox pulled funding from John Romero's new game that his studio was developing. Now, contrary to popular thought right now, you've heard me in the intro. I actually think this was a decision where you can understand exactly why they were made. Oh wait, they were made because Microsoft wants to fund a massive investment into AI.
We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money!
Satya's building Skynet and he needs human sacrifices. But from a business standpoint, you can kind of see why these studios were the ones affected and why these games have been canceled. In all honesty, I think the cancellation of the Perfect Dark reboot and Everwild were probably the smartest moves made by this boneheaded leadership core, maybe since the creation of Game Pass, although everyone now is saying that it's unsustainable for the industry.
Good, great, grand, wonderful.
Xbox's biggest problem is that they have been way too hands-off and have just let their studios just twiddle their thumbs for years on end and just let their IP just rot in the corner. This is them finally putting their foot down and saying, okay, these games have been in development for too long and you have nothing to show for it. Enough is enough. We gave you enough time and you pissed it away. Same goes for the closure of The Initiative. That was probably the most waste of time and resources of a studio that I've seen in quite a while. A studio that was made for the sole purpose of making quadruple A Wait, they said this before Ubisoft? No way. How did I not hear about this? But there were industry veterans brought in and all this talent, and then they immediately said,
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
And since then, the studio has started their downward spiral in development hell. Like, I appreciate this move, I really do. You've done nothing but waste our money and our time, and you have nothing to show for it. Like, realistically, it should not be this hard to make a perfect Dark game. It's not an open world game that you need a ton of optimization for because more things need to be rendered. All you gotta do is make an immersive sim. Like, this is focused solely on the level design. That's all you have to worry about for the bulk of your development. And in all those years, all we got was a trailer and a vertical slice of the Xbox Game Showcase, which, by the way, I called it was not real. That trailer you showed last year is not real. That's what you hope it will look like.
Listen, I gave.
Same thing with Everwild. 6 years since it was announced, and it was reportedly being worked on for longer than that. 6+ years in development, and we've heard absolutely nothing. At a certain point, you should be expecting a knock at the door from Phil Spencer. Hey, you got that game you promised to make me? Turn 10 was making Forza Motorsport, incredibly successful franchise, but the last game was mixed, and before that, the last game they put out was in 2017, and Horizon looks like it's the moneymaker, so why bother having two teams make Forza? Let's just put our eggs into one basket here. Like, all of these are sad, but you understand why it happened. And if all these people are working for us, and we're barely getting any respectable output, what's the point of keeping them? How did 33 people make Claire Obscure while you got a studio of over 200 people, and you can't even get a vertical slice done? Game development is hard. It's not this fucking hard. Figure it out. Xbox, if I may have a suggestion, not that you're gonna hear it, but why not? You wanna make some money? You want another shot? Give Perfect Dark to Saber Interactive. Contract them to work on it. If anybody can take a franchise and make it badass, it's these guys. Tell me you would not be excited for that after Space Marine 2.
Shut up and take my money.
But yeah, I have no real quarrels with most of these layoffs and cancellations. Not really. But what I do have a problem with is how they were handled. I think it's safe to say that with these layoffs, it's clear that Xbox leadership, they're no longer in the driver's seat. It feels like they've bent the knee to Papa Satya and are now just pretty faces. Whatever they say can no longer be taken at face value because apparently everything they say has an expiration date. Phil Spencer could say one thing and Satya could just be like, nah, we're not doing that anymore. But to be fair, can you blame the guy? Don't take it from me. Hear it from our president. What does he think about Xbox leadership?
They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
I have said multiple times on this channel that Xbox's leadership has been nothing but utterly incompetent for the last decade plus. You wonder why Microsoft and Xbox are making these layoffs? Do you think they'd be cutting down like this if Xbox had gone on a PS4 level run of bangers for a generation and were still seen as a force to be reckoned with? No. They're here because ever since Phil Spencer has taken over, the brand has been dying a slow death, saved only by the now dwindling growth of Game Pass. They have been almost incapable of making good games and managing game development. They've had more than a hands-off approach. They don't even know what's happening. So when you make the layoffs and cancellations like this, you can kind of see a realization that they may need to be a little harsher on their devs because they've been getting way too much leeway. And hey, if people don't like it, you could just blame it on Papa Satya. He wanted the layoffs. I had no choice. I had no control over what happened. Please forgive me. On the surface, it was looking like a little sympathy could be brewing towards Team Green. And then we started learning about Phil, and it just cements the obvious. He is a terrible leader. Listen to this goddamn memo he sent out to employees after the news of the layoffs broke. Today we are sharing decisions that will impact colleagues across our organization to position gaming for enduring success and allow us to focus on strategic growth areas. We will end or decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. I recognize that these changes come at a time when we have more players, games, and gaming hours than ever before. Our platform and hardware and game roadmap have never looked stronger. The success we're seeing currently is based on tough decisions we made previously.
What the fuck was that?
Look, regardless of the circumstances, it is your job as a leader to maintain a very important word. That word is morale. It is your job to make sure that your people are as happy and as confident as they can be so they can operate at their best. Every leader in every walk of life knows this. Yeah, there's layoffs and that's not going to make your employees happy, but what you're supposed to do is provide reassurance so at least it looks like you're trying to reassure everyone. I know, genius, right? You don't come out and say shit like, hey, we're the best we've ever been. Which is why you must be destroyed. You absolute moron! What does that tell the people you have left? This is a statement for investors. You don't put that in an employee memo. Were you even concerned about how this would go over? If the answer to that is no, then you have failed in your role as a leader. And also, these decisions prioritize strong opportunities. Who the f***'s a strong opportunity now? You know what this communicates to your small studios? You're not important. You will never be important. You're just giving us filler for Game Pass. Even if that may be true, and I personally think it is, you don't say that as the CEO. You think it's gonna make your devs excited to come into work and put out the best product possible? Hello, Phil? Anybody home, you dumbass? Yeah, but you know what else is the dumb thing to do? Canceling ZeniMax Online's MMO and laying off the entire dev team after attending a dev meeting with them and Phil being, reportedly, unable to put the controller down.
No. Oh, is it not enough?
Yeah, Matt S. had to pull the controller away from him to keep the meeting going. Now, you could say things like it may have been in development for too long, or it wasn't actually coming along as well as they would have liked, but when you as a leader are showing that not only do you like the game, but are playing it so much that it's disrupting your workflow, you don't axe that game out of principle because you just gave a vote of confidence. Instead, you axe people at a studio like 343. No, I'm not calling you by your new name. You make me sick. Now when Phil Spencer is showing enthusiasm for your game, rather than give a confidence boost as it should, now it doesn't mean anything. And to make things worse, they found out they were laid off through their Slack accounts being deactivated without prior notice.
Oh, I guess I forgot my code. They ain't cut me. Yes, they did. They must have cut me.
What a great way to start work! You know what else is a great way to start work? Hearing the news that funding for your game has been cut a day after meeting with the CEO when not a word was spoken about it in said meeting. Did you know that you were pulling my funding?
Yes.
Then why the fuck didn't you say so?
In these three events, Phil Spencer has completely and utterly destroyed his reputation with the people who work for him, as well as fans of Xbox. At best, he's a corporate shark who has no control over the decisions he makes. You can't trust anything the guy says about anyone, and now every time he shows up to your studio, it seems like a kiss of death at this point. You never want people to be fearing for their livelihoods whenever the CEO shows up. That's not a healthy environment. And also, he might be the fakest guy in the entire industry. Between the nice face, evil action, and this picture he took at the initiative, apparently playing Perfect Dark? What was he playing here? There was nothing ready yet. Was this just for PR? Nobody can trust anything this guy does anymore. You cannot have a healthy business when nobody respects or trusts the man who's leading them. And by the way, this on top of something that I just learned about recently, apparently Microsoft has a policy where every idea you state in a meeting belongs to Microsoft. Like if you throw out an idea and that idea gets shut down, you can't even go somewhere else and pitch that idea, or else Papa Satya is gonna send the Sentinels after you. Microsoft owns that idea. Not if it gets picked up or if they act on it. If you just say it, Microsoft owns your ideas. What the kind of policy is that? Combined with the constant layoffs that are happening around the business, how do you expect any developer to throw out their best ideas knowing that they're probably going to be gone in about 2 weeks? I saw a documentary a few days ago about the behind the scenes from Double Fine when they were developing Psychonauts 2, and they had just been acquired by Xbox, and this matter was brought up in a meeting, and Matt S. reiterated that for future projects, this was going to become the norm, and everyone in the studio looks like they want to quit.
Because I don't know, someday down the road we might want to go back and say, ha, that was a great idea, you know, we should go make that game, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is something we have to figure out.
Oh my god, what have we done? You know what? Let's shift gears for a second. Let's talk ass. Because if you're not gonna blame Phil for the situation Xbox is in, you are definitely blaming Matt ass. Yeah, I don't just call him Matt Ass because I think it's funny. If you're gonna exemplify your name that much, you might as well go the full distance with it. I've called for Matt Booty's head in the past, and I still am. I don't know how he's still the head of Xbox Game Studios. I don't know if he's someone's cousin. I don't know if he served Satya or Phil a good meal while he was still working at McDonald's. I'm assuming that's where they found this guy, because he hasn't shown that he can run anything remotely resembling a major gaming entity. How are you in charge of managing every studio under Xbox? Almost all of them have some kind of development problems. None of them ever have delivered a high-quality blockbuster game that gets people to buy an Xbox, and you're allowed to keep your job. In any other industry, if you had performed that bad in your role, or your philosophy is clearly shown to be butt-f***ing useless, some change has to be made. Honestly, Matt, with the way things have been going, it sounds to me like this hands-off approach is just an excuse for you to fuck off and not do your job.
What would you say you do here?
This guy's the caddy from Happy Gilmore. He's just brought on from out of nowhere and just does his own thing the entire time. How are you now looking at Perfect Dark and Everwild's development cycles, and now finally doing something about it? Where was the foresight 3 years ago that these developments were having problems? Could have saved us a lot of time and money, Matt. How are you not on 343's ass whenever there's a new Halo coming out? How are you not constantly at the coalition saying, hey guys, what's new? At some point, Daddy has to step in and set the record straight, and Matt Ass has been a terrible daddy to these studios. I don't want this to turn into a rant on Ass. I just feel like we can't talk about the decline of Xbox without mentioning this guy's utter failure as the head of Xbox Game Studios. And if you think this absolves Phil of any responsibility, it doesn't, because he should have cracked the whip and been like, hey Matt, get your boys in line, we haven't had a banger in 10 years. Whoa. Sarah Bond, where do you think you're going?
But I'm not done yet.
I don't really know what you primarily do, and from what I gather, it's mostly centered around hardware. Let me just leave this right here. You guys should have done something, but instead, you all decided to sit on your hands and let Xbox rot away to the point where now they have no choice but to pivot to cloud gaming and AI as their next steps. All of this could have been avoided if Xbox had only just done their goddamn jobs. So after taking all of this in, it's clear that Xbox has now become the safe publisher. Only the games that you are known for. We're not taking any more risks. They have become a publisher that is void of any creativity, but it didn't have to be this way. The reason why Xbox is in a sorry state is because these cuts needed to happen, all because leadership couldn't get their house in order for a decade plus. Xbox no longer has the keys to their own kingdom because Microsoft has realized that they don't deserve them. Look no further than how Phil Spencer handled this entire thing, and you will see exactly that this brand is run by idiots. By the way, I never even brought up that guy that gave laid off employees AI prompts. Oh yeah, you got laid off because of AI. Here's some AI to help you.
You can fuck right off.
And if you think the layoffs are bad now, buckle your britches, because we're just getting started. Xbox is in a rough state, but there is one ray of hope. Something that I think can reignite some passion in this hellhole of a publisher. One game that can turn the tide. That game is Clockwork Revolution. Now, you might be saying, but ZD, wouldn't an incredible Gears of War E-Day be that spark? It's Gears, it's a console seller, wouldn't that make more sense? Well, in some ways, yes, but Gears is an already established franchise for Xbox, and a good game from that would just be another great slice of the same cake that we've had for years. If Clockwork Revolution is as good and as insane as that summer trailer made it out to be, then not only will you have the first real Xbox cultivated banger from one of those small studios that we bought in bulk back in 2018, but you would finally have a studio in Exile that you can prop up on a pedestal and say, hey guys, we're more than just the Halo, Gears, Forza, and Layoff people. Look at this toy we just got. The problem is, that trailer didn't have a release date, and given what just happened, I truly don't know if that's what that game actually is gonna be, and if this isn't as far along as we all think it is. You just don't know with this brand anymore. The fact that they even had to come out and say that all the games shown in the summer showcase were safe from layoffs tells you all you need to know. The trust is gone, and it is now almost impossible to generate hype. And I don't think they'll find that again until that next killer game comes back around. And when that killer game comes out, you can get it for the low, low price of $80. And that is the sorry state of Xbox. So thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to ZD Boy for more great content like this. Alright everybody, thank you all again, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!